And thank you for being here. As my disembodied voice just told us, we are recording this presentation. We do have it set so that we should only pick up the backs of your heads, but be aware that if you turn around, your face may wind up on the recording. A couple other logistics things. The restroom is out the door to the left. If you do need to use the restroom, please hold the door when you leave because it's really loud when it closes behind you. In a few minutes, Laura is going to go over some of the guidelines for the audience during the forum. And I will just ask that you adhere to those. I don't want to have to shush anybody. It's really not my favorite part of being a librarian, so please follow their guidelines. So with that said, my name is Sam. I am the community engagement librarian here. That means most of the programs I do are either for the benefit of nonprofit leaders or alongside nonprofit leaders. And the League is one of the organizations that I've been partnering with almost from the beginning of my time in this role. And it's one of my favorites because this is stuff that is so critical to our country, to our area, to everything. So with that, I will hand things over to Laura.
Thank you, Sam. Hello and welcome to today's candidate forum. The candidates and we thank you for attending today's forum featuring the candidates running for the Republican District 5 congressional seat. My name is Laura Mandel and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine, Barrington, and Schaumburg areas, which also includes Inverness, Hoffman Estates, and Rolling Meadows. We're pleased to acknowledge our forum co-sponsor, the Barrington Area Library, which serves about 45,000 residents across a 72 square mile district spanning 4 counties. It offers diverse cultural and educational programming and provides meeting space for more than 300 nonprofit organizations, including events like this forum. You can visit balibrary.org for more information. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that neither supports, opposes, nor recommends candidates for office. The League was founded in 1920 here in Chicago to help educate and inform the new female voters who had just won the right to vote. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of all citizens. Providing this forum enables members of the community to become better informed about the issues facing the community and candidates running for office. We are proud to offer this service to you. All sponsors of this forum are firmly committed to nonpartisanship and to providing an equal, respectful platform for every candidate, regardless of party affiliation. Before we go any further, as a way to remind ourselves why we are all here, and that regardless of our individual political views, we are all Americans, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, I have a couple of quick notes for you. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to silence your phones and any other devices. Today's forum, as Sam said, will be recorded for the League of Women Voters and our co-sponsors' use in educating the public. A video of this forum will be available early next week in 3 spots: the League website at lwvpalatinearea.org, the Barrington Area Library, and the vote411.org website. The candidates have agreed to the recording. The League claims copyright ownership of all recordings or transcripts produced from this event and reserves the right to publicize this forum. No campaign signs, buttons, or partisan materials are allowed in this room. No voice, image, or other duplication of the forum may be used by a candidate's representative or campaign in any campaign advertising. And finally, as Sam mentioned, you're advised that your image may appear in the forum video or photographs of the forum. However, mostly it's the backs of your head in the video. We want to thank all of you for taking the time to attend the forum In order to help us stay within our time limits and out of respect for the candidates and your fellow attendees, we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. No questions will be taken from the floor, and no interruptions, heckling, or other disruptions will be tolerated. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for today's forum. John Engel is Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Chicago and its historian in residence. A published historian and political theorist, John is the author of Trinity Student Pranks and has contributed widely to journals and reviews. His historical writing includes essays on H.P. Lovecraft and the Icelandic Commonwealth. His work in political theory spans topics from political speech and American exceptionalism to political consent theory and land rights. He's currently completing a forthcoming book on the decline and fall of the Roman Republic and the lessons it offers for the American Republic today. Please welcome John.
Thanks very much for that introduction. And welcome. It's my absolute pleasure to moderate this forum. I'm not a resident of this district and not eligible to vote in this election, so I've been asked to serve as an impartial facilitator for this discussion as a volunteer with the League of Women Voters. But before we get started, let me take a few minutes to explain the format and the rules for this forum. So all the candidates were contacted by mail, email, or phone, and those present have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Candidates have drawn numbers to determine their speaking order, and I will rotate this order during the forum for questions. So each candidate will answer every question as well, and candidate answers will be timed by a group of timers present there. So candidates, you can see when your time is up, and you'll be given warnings at the 30 and 15-second marks. So timers, please raise your signs so everyone can see them. Great, thank you very much. Thanks to our timers for their assistance today. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening statements, and then they will have 1 minute to answer each of the specific questions. And I will be happy to repeat the question if necessary, and that won't eat into your time. Candidates will also be given a 30-second warning, so please quickly complete your thoughts before you see the stop card raised. So time limits will be enforced out of respect for all candidates. And if needed, a rebuttal may be requested. So each candidate may use a maximum of 2 rebuttals, and rebuttals will be timed and limited to 30 seconds each. So simply raise your, do you gentlemen have a rebuttal card? Then you may just raise your hand, raise your hand if you want to use one of your rebuttals in response to one of the other candidates. And so finally, you will have 1 minute for a closing statement. Questions have been submitted by the audience members at the time of registration, so all questions have already been assigned, and I'll be asking all of them. And questions have been reviewed for clarity, appropriateness, and will avoid duplication. Today, we will be hearing from 2 candidates seeking the Republican nomination to run in the 5th Congressional District. So today we have Mr. Tommy Hansen and Mr. Barry Wicker. And not with us today are candidate Anthony Temez, who was invited to the forum but did not respond, as well as Dr. Kim Baladian, who is unable to join us today. So I want to thank you all again for your participation. We'll begin with your 2-minute opening statements, and we will begin with Mr. Hansen.
Hi, how's everybody doing today? I'm Tommy Hansen, and I'm a Republican. I've ran for this office 5 times against the incumbent, and the first one was in 2018, and here I am again today. And I'm doing it because I'm really concerned about what's happening specifically to Chicago and Illinois and the impact our city and state can have on the rest of the country. I'm a Christian. That's my #1 priority for me and my family. And I'm a businessman. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I report to the CEO, the president, the owners of public and private companies. And I work on all kinds of decisions for them to buy commercial real estate, lease it or manage it, sell it. And the fact of the matter is, if I were to look at the governor or the mayor of Chicago or the congressman, I don't think any of them could do my job, none of them. but I could do any of their jobs, and I've selected to run for Congress. And the fact of the matter is our country's in serious trouble right now. I'm a MAGA candidate. I support the president. And he made a comment a few months ago that we're at a tipping point. Our country's in so much debt, and he's fighting furiously to try to pay down debt and cut down expenses because America is a superpower, and we have to have an efficient government to serve the people. And the fact of the matter is our government is bloated still, and it needs to pare down. And we have so many expenses that we're going to have to pare down, and we're going to have to grow the economy. Our economy is 30 trillion, and we owe 38 trillion in debts. And the only way we're going to get out of this is to grow our economy to 45 trillion if we're going to make everybody happy. It's going to be a real tough thing to do, but we are at a turning point, and we have to take care of this. And I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to do this, and I think I'll be better than 99% of the congressmen there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wicker.
Hello, everybody. I'm very privileged to be here, and you also. My name's Barry Wicker, 5th District for Congressman. Yes. So can we start all over again?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start all over again. It's better now? Okay. I would say that I have been groomed for this job. My background is perfect for this institution and for all of the people in the district, the Barrington. First thing I would do is come to all of the leaders in the districts and find out what your problems are, what your interests are, and take care of them. I'll go backwards one thing. My background is I've done 10 years in the financial institutions. I've been dealing with banks and money, millions and billions of dollars per day. 10 years, trained. I've never been out of balance once, so I will balance your areas that if needed. Second, I'm a licensed engineer, so I understand the engineering and the makeup of building of your towns. If you have problems there, I can take care of them most readily. I'm very well trained. I ran the airport, and I ran the biggest pumping station, water station in Chicago. I'm a Mason. I have a family history of Masons. I run the Shriners Hospital for children. We take care of them all over the world. I have a $100 million fund at the Illinois Masonic Hospital. We donate money to hospitals all over the United States, world too. So need be, you call me direct, and I have the background to fulfill any interest that you may need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's move on to the questions, and we're going to alternate. So Mr. Wicker, you'll get to start with question 1, and that is, and you'll have 1 minute to remind you. So do you support legislation that would prohibit members of Congress and their immediate family members from trading individual stocks while in office? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
You asked me if it was right for these people to be able to trade?
Would you like me to repeat the question? Yes, do you support legislation that would prohibit members of Congress and their families from trading individual stocks while they're in office?
Well, that makes sense because they have an insider information because they're in Congress. So I would lean towards prohibiting that.
Okay, great. And Mr. Hanson.
I don't have a problem with it either.
Great. So we'll move on to question 2. And Mr. Hanson, you'll get to answer first.
I would prohibit it because they have an inside track.
Okay. So let's move on to question two. Mr. Hansen, you'll answer first. How do you believe Medicaid should be structured and funded going forward?
Well, Medicaid has a lot of fraud in it, and we have to get rid of the fraud. We have to work on the fact that there can be several people using the same Social Security number, and it's been proven in Minnesota, Minneapolis. They have $9 billion of fraud so far. So we have to get rid of the fraud. And a lot of people qualify for Medicaid because they use the adjusted gross income to bring their income down. And I think Medicaid should just be based upon their gross income. You could have somebody making $200,000 that could have so many deductions they could qualify for Medicaid. So I think it should just be based upon people's gross income.
Mr. Wicker?
I'd form a group, just like the ladies that are sitting here, to form policy, because I do understand that for the elderly, we're not getting insured proper. We have problems having money for dental. You have medical insurance, and you go to the dentist, and you're not covered for your dentist. There's something wrong there. But you still have to form policy, and one person can't form policy. So I would get the most intelligent people that I feel is right, sit down and figure out a policy to go through Congress with. And that's an issue, but you have to start somewhere. We would start there. Voice of the people they have to listen to.
Great. So the third question, we'll start with you, Mr. Wicker, is how important is prior experience as a member of a legislature? How important is prior experience and life experience as a member of a legislature?
It has a relevancy to what you need to do in Congress or Senate. But if you have a good mind and you know right and wrong, and you have wisdom, you're set to go. You can learn real quick from whoever you're sitting around. So a prior knowledge or prior experience, yeah, that's good, but your soul is better. I'm done.
Mr. Hansen?
Well, I think we're better off with people that have no government experience to have new ideas. And we have too many people in government right now that are career politicians, like the incumbent, Congressman Quigley. He's been the congressman for 17 years, and before that, he was a Cook County commissioner. And I don't know if he's ever really had a working job like most of you. I'm a working candidate. I work for a living, and I'm campaigning to be the congressman. And I think a new person coming into the government can expose the public to new ideas. I'm in commercial real estate. I deal with the president, the CEO, owners of companies. I have a myriad of things that I'm exposed to. I have to make decisions. And that's the best thing I think that could happen to the government. That's why I'm for Trump, because he's a businessman. He's a catalyst. He's an idea man. He makes people think.
Great. So moving on to question 4, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Hansen. What is your position on the U.S. involvement in the World Health Organization?
Well, the World Health Organization was pretty involved in COVID. And the fact of the matter is, I think COVID was a complete farce. And I really think COVID was about getting Trump out of office. And the World Health Organization was a main driver of shutting down the schools and shutting down businesses around the world. And, you know, the way it started was in China. They were having a major recession going on. The factories weren't busy. So President Xi used COVID to make people go home. That was his idea. And then Nancy Pelosi thought, oh, well, let's do that. Let's do the same here in America. Let's shut down Trump. And we're still being affected because of COVID. And if you go downtown Chicago, all the office buildings are going broke because everybody's staying at home. They're not going to work as a result of COVID. So the World Health Organization has damaged the U.S.
Mr. Wicker.
World Health Organization is very important to the world because it protects our health, our well-being, our children. And without it, everything would be haphazard and you'd be having bubonic plagues running all over the world like we had centuries and centuries ago. So we need a good help. We need help like that. That's fine. I truly believe in it.
Okay. Moving on to question 5, Mr. Wicker, you'll start again here, and that is, do you support the Trump administration's reported target of admitting 7,500 refugees, including individuals identified as Afrikaners from South Africa?
That was complete when you were so long with that.
Oh, no, sorry. So the Trump administration has reportedly set a target for admitting 7,500 refugees,
Provided what?
giving asylum to 7,500 refugees into the United States.
Entitled to bring them in, is that what you said?
That's the reported target of the administration.
The target.
Yeah, including, and among them would be included Afrikaners, like white South Africans from South Africa. Like, do you support that reported target?
So you're asking me if it's okay, the quota of 750,000 refugees be allowed into the United States per year?
It's
Is that the question?
7,500, yes.
Well, and just at random number like that, I'm not with any certain number, but I favor bringing in qualified refugees from every ethnicity in the world to supplement our ongoing movement structure in America. And that's what gives America our strength that we have, is the roundness of the people that are in our America now. It's good. It's good.
Mr. Hansen?
As I recall, I believe the reason for that was because there were Christians and they were being persecuted and killed. And I think that was a primary reason for it. And, you know, the United States is based upon Judeo-Christian values. So we need to help people that are really in danger for their lives. But the fact of the matter is that the American citizen population is declining. And we need more people to fuel our economy. There are job shortages and we need qualified people. But I do believe that when people come into the country, that we should have a process where they come in legally. And there's so many people here today that have come over illegally that what they need to do is sign up, register, learn the Constitution, rules of the road, et cetera. But I support the president for what he did.
Great. So moving on to question 6, Mr. Hansen, you'll have the first chance to respond to this one. And it is, what responsibility, if any, does the federal government have in ensuring equal educational opportunity?
Well, I believe every parent should have when their children are going to school, there should be a school choice. The public schools in Chicago are not adequate. They're not doing the job. There are 400,000 kids that go to school in Chicago and they're undereducated. A lot of them can't read. A lot of the kids that go to Chicago State University after high school, 90% of them don't graduate. So I think school choice is really important, whether it's a charter school or a private school. And I favor that if they don't take public education and if they go into a private school or a charter school where it costs money, I feel that expense should be completely deductible from their income. And I think the government, we should support vocational schools too for kids that don't necessarily want to have white collar jobs. Instead, they want to work with their hands and be mechanics and plumbers and et cetera. So I'm all for education. Education is the best investment anybody can make.
Mr. Wicker? That's one of my first priorities, is educating our children, because that's the roots of our strength as they grow older and blend into the system. So I would major funding, any allocations, any that I get as a congressman, I would weed into the school systems. That's when I would talk to the people who are in the different divisions. What are your schools like? And I would make sure there's funds for those schools. So, and I would try to get a little bit more trade schools going on too.
Okay, moving on to question 7, Mr. Wicker, you'll have the first response to this one. So the question is, what standards and accountability mechanisms should apply to federal officers who use deadly force during law enforcement operations or protests?
How should, the question was, how would I view officers that are helping, what now?
Here, I'll repeat the questions. Like what standards should apply and like
Standards.
and what mechanisms for accountability should be applied?
Accountability for officers.
Who use deadly force during law enforcement operations or at protests?
Well, this should be very well viewed. They have to have very good, tight restrictions as to their movement. So they're very legitimate at what they do and not cross any gray path. I have family that runs the Cook County Jail, so I very well know how to, or what goes on with the officers and their relationships with people in the streets or problem people. And cameras, they have a lot of things set to abide by the law for safety right now. But there's always a little bit more that can be done. And that, again, we would talk it over with people and find out where the weaknesses are and then correct those.
Mr. Hanson?
Well, training is really important. And in my business, every 2 years, we have to take renewal courses to make sure that we're up to date with the law. And in the instance of ICE, training is really important. And I've thought about this a lot, particularly with the 2 shootings that went on in Minneapolis, where the officers that did shoot and kill the individuals, they go through a lot of psychological stress. And it's not like they killed them and they'll forget it. For the rest of their lives, they're going to have nightmares about this. And I think they need, therapy. They need to talk to people on a regular basis. It should be offered to them. And if they're overly stressed out and stuff like that, it will be a checkpoint. And in the first shooting, that the officer had been attacked or dragged by a car and injured seriously. And it could be a result of why he shot that person in the stress.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to question 8, Mr. Hanson, you'll have the first response. And it is, do you support federal incentives for renewable energy?
Well, I think that the renewable energy is good for reducing pollution, but I don't believe that it should be used as some sort of a political gimmick to get people to vote for a certain party. And a lot of these wind farms or renewable energy ideas are not efficient. They cost the government a lot of money, and they're not doing the job that they're supposed to do. So the fact of the matter is, when it comes to energy, America needs a lot of energy, and we need a lot of electricity, and it's going to take oil and coal, and it will take some renewal, but we've got to be very efficient to have a efficient economy, to have a superpower, because the world is depending on us, and energy, oil is in 9 out of 10 products. So that's where I'm coming from. We have to drill, and we have to be an efficient country when it comes to energy.
Mr. Wicker.
I'm very familiar with this area with renewable. First, I do say that federal engagement to better renewable energy is very important. I ran the data centers for Microsoft. I know where that energy comes from. I ran the airport. I know where all the energy comes from to run the airport, fuel. I ran the water department. I ran turbine engines. I know where all the energy comes from there. And I do know how to tweak it, and tweaking it is very important, and that's where the federal government comes in, so they can help supply a little money so we can help develop and tweak the energy. We do need renewable energy. Very important.
Thank you.
Important.
So question 9, Mr. Wicker, you'll have the first response again for this one. And it is, what steps would you take?
Spaghetti rips. Long my head falling off.
Not sure how to put it back on, no.
I don't know how to put this on. Here, maybe it's like this.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works. 1, 2, 3, everything working proper, good. You'll excuse me for doing that. I got excited.
No problem at all. It's not a proper candidate forum if there isn't at least one technical difficulty.
Okay, John.
All right, so question 9. What steps would you take or what
This
policies?
is for me?
Yes, you answer first. Yep, so what steps would you take or what policies would you consider to ensure that government decisions promote fairness and equity for all residents?
The policy is fairness for who?
Is it, what policies do you support that would promote fairness and equity for all residents?
For all residences?
Residents, people residing in the United States.
What policy would I write?
To promote fairness, yeah.
That's fair. I would go into the oceans and Mother Nature. It's good for all residencies. I'd clean the ocean up and I'd start planting more trees around the world because we devastated it during the last 200 years. Coming from the colonies right through the Midwest, we devastated our trees. Ultimate need. And this would best support everybody that lives here. We don't have an earth, we don't have society anymore. So I just go into the oceans and the trees. I do a lot more than that, but that's just a start.
Mr. Hanson?
Well, I believe in voter ID. I think it's the most important thing that we are going to be voting on this year soon, hopefully. Your vote has to count. And the fact of the matter is, what is it, 84% of the country believes that you should have a voter ID. And there's so much suspicion, there's so much, people don't believe in the elections anymore because they think there's so much fraud. And voter ID would eliminate harvesting of votes. You know, they go to the election office and they pick up a whole bunch of ballots and then they go around and have people sign them, whatever. But I think voter ID is really important. I mean, you have a driver's license, you have to show your license to go to the airport, to get on a plane. It doesn't make sense to not have a voter ID, and 84% of the country believes in that. And I think that's probably one of the most important issues right now. People have to know that their vote counts, and they want to believe that the people that are voting are for real.
Thank you. So for question 10, Mr. Hanson, you will have the first response. And the question is, what will be your strategy for supporting small businesses in your district?
Well, I'm a big believer in write-offs, and businesses should be able to write off all the equipment that they're buying, which is in the big, beautiful bill, and they should be able to write off entertainment, should be able to write off anything that makes their business move forward. They should be able to write off educational expenses for their employees. And small business is a hard business today. All the big businesses are eating up all the margins of competition, and the small guy doesn't stand a chance. So you got to help the small guy as much as possible. And when you give them write-offs and deductions, as in the big, beautiful bill, it gives small businesses incentive to spend the money and make the investments to move forward.
Mr. Wicker?
Yeah, that would have to be dealt with on an individual basis with each business is a different type of business. So you would have to talk with the owners of all these businesses, and again, incentivize, give them incentives to gain a little bit more control of their business financially. It's a hard question to deal with a small mom and pop places.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wicker, you'll have the first response on this next question, which is, what is your position on the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United, and would you support a constitutional amendment to address its impact on campaign finance?
Okay, that sounds like two questions. The first one was, what was that?
What is your position on the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United?
On what?
Citizens United, which is broadly considered to be the decision that allowed essentially unrestricted campaign donations and the massive rise in campaign spending.
Let me deal with that first. The people who are underfunded, candidates who are underfunded, you said?
No, so Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision that essentially acknowledged that there were that money is speech, and therefore
Money is using for what?
that money is equivalent to political speech, and that limits to campaign spending and spending on elections was unconstitutional.
Okay, let me answer that. Now, you're saying that you're afraid of too many candidates that are getting funded too much, are allocated these funds in a improper way. Is that what you're saying? That too much money is giving in to their funding?
Just to clarify, so like the question,
I don't understand what you're saying.
The question is essentially, do you believe in restrictions on campaign finance and campaign spending?
Yeah, there should be restrictions because the people who get funded, they outdo another candidate that doesn't have any money. They're on TV, and it isn't fair. It's not equal. If that's what you're asking me, I don't quite understand what you're saying, but I think that's what you're saying.
Yes, in essence.
So funding is an irregularity that should be equalized. Another person shouldn't have 2 million or 3 million in the bank they can use because the average person out in the audience follows campaigning and publicizing. If your name isn't put out there, they don't know you, they're not going to vote for you. And the money puts your name out there and helps. That's not fair.
And Mr.
What was that second question? You had two questions in one.
Oh, I think that the question was, well, because we're going over, like, if it's a simple yes or no, would you support a constitutional amendment that would address that issue?
That we have what? You'll excuse me. In the war, I had a lot of explosives.
It's all right.
True.
Right.
I lost a little bit of my hearing.
Would you support a constitutional amendment that would restrict campaign financing?
The constitutional amendment?
Would you support an amendment?
Support the amendment to restrict the funding?
Yes.
I go for it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hanson, your turn. If we could give him an extra 30 seconds because of the clarification issues, if you'd like an extra 30 seconds on your time, Mr. Hanson.
No, that's okay. I'm glad you got the question first. They're good questions, though.
Yes, they're.
So maybe I got my extra 30 seconds there. It's like here on the list. I'm really about cutting down the debt, growing the economy, protecting America, protecting your vote. And this is way down on the list, but I really don't care how much somebody spends. It doesn't matter to me if Governor Pritzker spent 250 million to get elected. He wants to be the president of the United States. He'll probably spend 500 million, a billion maybe, because he wants to be the president. And he'll prove whether he's going to be a good president or not. And I don't think he's going to do a good job at doing it. So it doesn't bother me that somebody may have an unlimited amount of money. Look at AOC. She was a bartender, and she got some people to sign her petition. And they had a primary, and the main guy, John Connolly, who ran against her, a 20-year incumbent who was going to be the Speaker of the House, he had all the money in the world, didn't show, and he had an underling be there. And she blew him away in the debate, and she won the primary. It was only 18,000 votes. So the money doesn't matter. If you're really good, people will somehow find you. They'll recognize you.
Great. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to question 12. And
Can I
Mr.
say something about that?
You can use your 30-second rebuttal. So yes.
I can say something about that. The money doesn't matter, true. If you have a effervescent personality and you speak proper and you show that you have wisdom, you'll overcome anything. But the money doesn't help you that much when it's going against you. And we all know that. We all know that in life. Fighting, that's like saying fighting City Hall. That's that old saying, you can't win if you fight City Hall.
Can I add to that?
You may.
Oh, okay. I want to add to your comment too.
Educate me.
Remember Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York that ran for president?
Yes.
Spent $500 million. He didn't get one vote in the entire country. So that proves a point. He thought he makes $2 million a week. He spent $500 million, didn't get any votes.
They didn't like him.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point. You know, it doesn't matter how much
Let's avoid
people
crosstalk.
spend. It
That's
depends
what
on
I
who the
said.
person is.
If they like you, you're going to win.
All right, thank you. But want to avoid too much
complimenting.
crosstalk.
That's true. That's all true.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So like we'll reference that you each have the opportunity to do a rebuttal twice. So you've each used one. You each have one more 30-second rebuttal should you wish to use it on any of the remaining questions. So turning to question 12, Mr. Hansen, you will be able to answer this one first. And do you believe that Medicare for all is a viable option? Why or why not?
Well, I think Obamacare was about a $1.7 trillion expense to the government, and our government ran about a $1.8 trillion deficit last year. And it's been proven, as in the case of Minnesota, $9 billion of fraud, that there's fraud. And there's fraud, and the doctors are encouraged to refer, so that they don't just get one fee for you to see them, they get all these referral fees. And all the drug companies have been pushing them to use their drugs and all that. So I don't think Medicare for all makes sense. I think I think insurance has to be competitive, where insurance companies compete against each other everywhere in the country, just like automobile insurance. I think it's got to be a competitive market, and we have to reduce the fraud, get rid of the fraud. It's a big scam what's going on right now. And people are getting overly prescribed and over medical attention to the point where they're getting sick because of it.
Mr. Wicker.
Medicare, I won't use that word. Insurance, medical insurance for everybody is imperative. How we do it is another case. Again, I'll go back to the constituents I gather together. If I get in Congress, I will get the best I can and figure out a way to implement the policy so everybody can be assured equally and everybody has insurance, everybody. But the policy to be made has to be done again by the voice of you. I'm your voice there, and I'll gather us together.
Great, thank you. So the next question, Mr. Wicker, you'll answer first on this one. How will you ensure, as a congressman, that you represent all residents of your district?
I will go to all my districts. Well, districts, I keep forgetting the word, the areas. I'll use the word areas. In my district, which I have dozens, I'll go to the leaders in those areas and find out what their needs are. Done deal. We'll write it down. I'll take care of it because I'll have the backing of the government, the funds, and then we'll take out from the funds to take care of the areas in our district, Barrington being one of them. I'll talk to the ladies, Palatine, Barrington, whatever have. That's one of the first things I'll do.
Mr. Hansen.
The Illinois 5th Congressional District starts downtown, basically near Michigan Avenue, and it goes to Wrigley to O'Hare all the way out to here. It's like 740,000 people, and about 350,000 people vote. Chicago is 82.8% Democrat, and the Lakefront liberals, they control not just who the congressman is, but they control who the governor is and the senators. And the fact of the matter is, I'm a Republican, obviously. 70% of the district, like I've said in the past, is Democrat. I'm in commercial real estate, so I have to make the parties come together to do the deal, to sign the agreement so that I get paid. So I have to work with the Democrats to make sure that they're happy too. It can't be just one-sided. We have to have a common ground. And there are a lot of areas where we can have common ground, and a lot of areas where we can learn from each other how to move forward.
Thank you. So we'll move on to question for the 14th question of the morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging in there. And Mr. Hansen, you'll start first. Do you agree with how the U.S. is handling the current situation with Venezuela, and what, if anything, should the U.S. do differently?
Well, the reason that they went in to get Maduro was because they indicted him and convicted him several years ago. I think it was in 2020, of being a drug smuggler in charge of trafficking drugs. And the fact of the matter is, that's why they went in there. And drugs are a huge threat to the United States. I talked to a Chicago police lady a while back, and I said, just say one thing. She said, what do you mean? I said, what's really bothering you? And she said, fentanyl. It's like out of control on the north side of Chicago. So I don't have a problem with the fact that we went in there and got Maduro, because he's a drug king. And Venezuela now, many of those people feel like they're free, and many of those people feel like they live in the greatest country, Venezuela, in the world, because they got plenty of resources, and it used to be a wealthy country. And now that he's gone, they will get very excited about working with the United States.
Mr. Wicker.
Venezuela was developed by American companies. We're just talking in the natural resources, the oil, energy industry. A dictator came in, kicked us all out, and took over everything that we had there. We had to walk away from it. Now we're turning it around. We're getting maybe a different leader there, and we're bringing our companies back in with our machinery and our money. People coming in, I'll stop there. People coming in need to be background checked, because we don't want illegals coming in and criminals. They have to be background checked a little bit better.
Great, thank you. And now for the next question, we will start here with Mr. Wicker. And that question is, how would you reform the federal asylum system for political refugees and religious refugees and other individuals seeking asylum under the United States?
Political refugees, if they're legal, then you would have to form, well, you don't have to, you should form some type of assistance to get them footed, or background check them before they come in for asylum, to make sure they have education so they can support themselves and not be on the streets helpless and then bleeding off our institutions in America. That's a tough question too, because it's humanity and it's soft dealing with people. You don't want to hurt people, but we have our own people right here to take care of first, our children and everybody that lives here. So again, we'd have to talk in the big groups with that and decide. There's no one answer to that.
Mr. Hansen.
Any answer.
Mr. Hansen.
Well, most of the people that come into the U.S., they come in seeking political asylum, fearing for their lives. And it would be better if that's most of the rationale why they do it. And most of them that come in legally use the 90-second app that the Biden administration made available to them as that administration's way of giving them an avenue. But if they're gonna claim political asylum, they need to go through the legal ports. And the fact of the matter is, there are just too many people coming in that we don't know anything about. And to be fair to the people that have come here legally, they need to go through the legal channels and apply through the legal channels to be fair to all the people that want to come here.
Thank you. We have time for one more question before closing statements. And this one, again, we will begin with Mr. Wicker. And the question is, sorry, Mr. Hanson, this is your turn. Sorry, Mr. Hanson, you'll begin with this one. So what 2 to 3 measures do you support to reduce violent crime?
Okay, that's it. All right, that's a simple question. I think the whole thing about crime has to do with morals. And I'm a Christian, and I believe in Judeo-Christian values. And the people who created the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, many of them, most of them believed in the Bible. They believed in the Son of God, Jesus, and the 10 Commandments. And when people grow up that way, they don't break the law. They don't try to break the law. You know, some people get speeding tickets, or some people do things that they shouldn't do. But I think morals are the most important thing in this country. It's the fabric of our Constitution, and you know, our country is veering away from that. People just don't seem to understand that you have to obey law enforcement. You have to obey the Constitution. You have to mind the rules of the road.
Thank you. And
Don, could you repeat that question?
yes,
Please.
what,
Slowly.
yeah,
And
what 2 to 3 measures would you support to reduce violent crime?
to reduce violent crime, you have to show the world that if you create a crime, there is a consequence. You don't go in front of a judge and he says, you're out on the street. And you go back out on the street till you do something so violent that they can't let you out again. And that's the bottom line. You know, I don't know. Again, I would go to my constituents to educate me what they think, that a little well-versed in the court system. I just have so much court system wisdom. But I do know, just out of common sense, that if someone knows they can create a crime, go to a judge, and they sign a paper and give them a few dollars, they're back out on the street again, they're going to not think so lightly. They'll think lightly of their crime. You want them to think a little more highly of what they do, what the consequence is.
Can I add to that?
You may use your last rebuttal, yes.
Yeah, I want to add to that. When we incarcerate people, they're in prison, we need to give them something to do to be constructive with that time. And in Cook County Jail, they have 2 TVs in every area of the groups there. One TV is Spanish, one is English, and there's nothing else to do. We need to give them something to do. We need to teach them a vocation or speak a different language or something to occupy their minds, something to give them value so that when they leave prison, they'll have something to look forward to.
Thank you. Time now requires that we move to closing statements. Candidates, you will each have 1 minute, and we will begin with Mr. Wicker.
Closing statement. I'm well qualified for everything. I have my fingers in everything that has been said. The court system, the jail, the energy, the charitable foundations, the financial institutions, how to run money, balance money. I'll make Chicago jealous if I take control of your areas and make you very viable entities. I'll make Chicago jealous that you're doing well and you're running without a debit. You're all running a nice credit line at the end of the year.
Thank you. And Mr. Hanson?
The reason I'm doing this is because I was not in the service. I believe you were, and thank you for your service.
Veteran.
Yes, and I respect that. So that's why I'm doing this. I feel like I want to pay back the government for what the government has done for me. I went to an incredible high school, New Trieste High School. At the time, it was one of the best high schools in the country. I was afforded the opportunity to go to an incredible college. And I'm in commercial real estate, and I deal with presidents, CEOs, and owners of public and private companies. And I doubt that the governor or any of our U.S. senators in here or our mayor could do what I do. They couldn't do what I do, but I could do what they could do. And I know I could do better than 99.9% of the congressmen in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to be quick on answers. I'm going to think things through, but I'm going to get things done because that's how I make my living.
Thank you very much to both our candidates.
I have one more rebuttal.
That was the closing statements, unfortunately. But with that, thank you both for joining us this morning, and I will turn the mic back over to Rebecca.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and the Barrington Library, thank you all for coming. We would like to extend our sincerest thanks to the candidates for their participation, to Sam Adams Lanham and the Barrington Library staff. And we want to remind you that there are several ways to cast your ballot. If you plan to use the mail, remember that post office policies have changed for mail-in ballots, so be sure to check on information that's available here today or online. If you know a 17-year-old who will be 18 by the November 3rd general election, be sure they register to vote. And you can make it easy to use Vote 411 to register to vote, find out where you can vote early, find your regular polling place, and find out who was on your ballot. If you haven't already, grab a Vote 411 card on your way out, keep it in your purse or pocket, and share it with your friends and relatives. Please participate in our democracy by casting your ballot. Your vote is your voice. Thank you.
Thank you.